Okay, cool. There we go. Now we can hear me. Sick. Let's see if I can hear me here. And I can't. There we go. There we go. Okay, cool, 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 cool. Okay, let's do this. Need a little bit of sugar cocaine first. Let's get myself a clean headset. Okay, good enough. Now I gotta get into the menu first. Okay, okay. Let's do this. Hello, viewers. Let's see. Okay, let's see. We're testing helicopters today. We're ranking all of them. It's a chore, but somebody has to do it. I think the best way is probably to start all the way over here, and then we work our way this way, you know? Could go out of order. We could go like small to large. Kind of thinking of different levels of how I want to test them, different aspects and things that I noticed flying in real life that I like to see in a simulator helicopter, and yeah. Let's see. Okay, I almost want to say start with something that I'm least experienced with, which will probably be a 47 here. Although fly inside, there were some issues with their integration. But let's just see. Let's see. It could be worth it now. I'll use home airport for some of this now. We may move around to different places, but I'll start out home airport. Just because. Bell 47G. Don't have a lot of time on this one. Very little time, in fact. I got it, purchased it. There were some control issues because for a while, see, it already starts in a very weird place. For a while, a lot of this a lot of the Fly Inside, the third-party company who makes these, they were classified as an airplane in the simulator for reasons that we've not been able to figure out. I'm sure they might have an excuse, but I say we give this a shot. Shift C puts us inside. I've got wiggly things. That works. Cool. So let's see what we have here. That's a lever, that's a lever. Red's usually fuel of some sort. So we can get battery on. Alternator doesn't need to go on yet. Fuel prime can go on. Beacon, I guess. Strobe lights. It's not a key or anything, I don't think. Okay, so that's not it. Let's turn that down. Nope, not it. Oh yeah, I forgot this is a keyed version. Okay, now we should be able to. Piston helicopters have magnetos, everybody. Ugh. Yo, what's going on, Rico? I'm trying to remember how to fly a Bell 47 here. Okay, that is mixture there. Okay, cool. There we go. Okay, mixture's up on that. Now what we can do, we can hit the avionics, the alternator. HH, I don't think that's anything we need to worry about. Yeah, that's their menu thing. Just turn that switch back off. Governor can go on. There are tests that we can do as far as, like I kind of mentioned, I think before you got in here, I'm trying to standardize how we test all this stuff, how the models are tested, because they're different. First thing here that threw me off was this is not labeled as fuel. Red is usually fuel. You should know that if you fly, but not labeled. It is not labeled which one's on or off. So that says carb air, that says carb heat. But here, that thing says mixture. It says carb heat, mixture. Kind of confusing, but this is carb air gauge, it's carb air temperature. This is just not labeled, which is kind of sucks. I'll give a knock a little point for that. Oh yeah, I definitely do stunts in the game in the helicopter. I mean, I was doing it earlier, just flying around recreationally by myself, you know. Let's get you off of there. Okay. And actually, what I'm going to do, I've flown in one of these before with 2 people and a good bit of fuel, not full fuel. So seats. Actually, I want patient right to be 0. What? Piss off. Patient left. Pilot. 195. Passenger. These things don't have a lot of power, surprisingly. Weight is extremely noticeable. Yeah, let's just do 50 gallons. Safe configuration. So we're at 2,439 out of 2,450 pounds. So you can imagine how close you would be on weight with patients on the outside. Then again, this does produce a lot of lift. It does have a lot of... a lot of blade that you can use. It just doesn't have a lot of power to move those blades. That's what we're limited by in the Bell 47. Once again, this is Fly Inside. This is a third-party helicopter. This is not one that you get from the game itself, although you can buy it in the marketplace, I believe. Don't quote me. Switches and stuff look good. There's decent texture on everything, although you can still kind of see some lines with everything, so it's not the best. It definitely feels more gamified than some of the other models that I've flown. We'll need left pedal taking off. Got a lot of collective up right there. Whoa. That feels really, really not good. And I am an actual helicopter pilot, so I don't want to say like, ooh, I should do better than that. A lot of no friction on the skids there. Let's see, slowly. What the heck? I've only flown this model like twice, so this is... And believe it or not, I've actually flown this in real life, and it feels nothing like this. Let's get some forward movement and just do some forward flight real quick, and then we'll slow ourselves down. But already, I can say this feels different, but I'll say that for Fly Inside in general. Fly Inside, their models feel completely different to the other models. They do their own flight dynamics, so that is a thing. Which way's our wind? It's like it really wants to swim really, really badly. I also don't know what sort of assist they're on. I don't know if, since it might be assisted, that it's holding me up some, because I'm trying to fight it with real instinct. Landing into the wind here. Okay, let me turn the HH thing on again. Just see what they have. Physical... Like, what... What the hell do you mean stability? Like, I want it to feel real. Yeah, put it on realistic, so it says 5% helicopter stability, so we'll leave that. I don't know what that could mean. But I'll trust the developers to put realistic on, so we'll see. Slowly picking up. Slowly picking up. Okay, yeah, it's... That 5%'s mildly better, but this model seems very, very prone to swimming. And when I say swimming, that's me swinging the collective around here in the middle. It's a pilot-induced oscillation at the end of the day. So this one does take more to get the feel of it. Most of the other helicopters in the game, downloaded or stock installed, it's pretty simple to get a feel for it. Or at least I'm able to hop in and fly it immediately. This is the only one in the entire simulator that I've ever had this big of an issue with. The Fly Inside 206 is similar in the fact that it handles significantly different than the 206 from Cowan Simulations. I said, don't know if that's a good thing or not. I've never flown a 206 in real life, but I have had a little bit of time in a 47. But what I'll say this feels like, it feels like the control of the helicopter here. Like you can feel the weight. I can feel the need to use a lot of collective to get off the ground. That feels apparent. Although the helicopter doesn't feel like it has any momentum weight to it. And that would be my best way of explaining it. So it's like the inertia that the body displays as you're hovering or moving or doing any sort of maneuver, it wiggles weird. Like it carries its energy and its inertia very weird. So also, speaking about inertia, that is something that we do need to test out on this. And not so much the inertia of the helicopter itself, but I'm looking at the inertia of the rotor system in an auto rotation. That's a good tell of how well the dynamics of the rotor systems are modeled, in my opinion. When we get to it later, the Cowan Sim R22, I think it has way too much inertia in the rotor system, because I'm definitely most familiar with auto rotations in the 22. In real life, really, 22, 44, and 47 are the only things I've been in for an auto. And the 22 definitely feels way different in the sim than it does in real life. Yeah, we'll do this. What we'll do, we'll keep building our airspeed up. We're doing 70 now. So you want to be like 70, 75. Honestly, this is an extremely slow helicopter also. It almost drives like you imagine, or it almost flies like you imagine driving an old diesel pickup truck. Is kind of what it feels like. It's like it's got power. It can do helicopter things to an extent if you're light enough. But it just doesn't like doing it in a hurry. And it does feel a bit more eager here in the game. Like I said, it carries its weight weird. Like this movement here of the cyclic, I don't feel like it would do that in real life. From my memory of being in it, it does not handle like that in real life. But also, like I said, my time was very, very limited. But we'll see how it does with an auto rotation. Like I said, that will be a very good tell as far as how the rotor system's model. These things float to the ground. There's almost no flare when you come to the bottom. It's, I don't want to say lazy. Lazy is the wrong term. It's casual. And when I say there's no flare, there is a flare, but I mean it's so minimal of a pullback on the cyclic that it's almost not noteworthy. We'll climb up a little bit more as we're going. I want to be around 70 to 75 knots entering the auto. Good high entrance here, gives us time to establish and see what the rotor system feels like going down. Cruise looks low effort, but also don't know how well it's been used, so slowing down too much. We're going to put some more speed in here first. Okay, level off flight, auto rotation in 3, 2, 1. Hold the governor off. There we go. So, weird entry, my governor switch is apparently not mapped to this governor switch. Putting some more speed in it. Very weird skidding, and it, I don't know if that's a part of the. Also, I'm going to manual governor this thing. We're going to do it again, just so I have a better entry. I don't want to have to worry about the. This thing takes some effort to fly, I'll tell you that. Because also in this thing, it has a governor and a correlator that are just not exactly the best. So you have to be very hands-on with your collective and throttle application because they're both coinciding with each other. Hey, Dino. Hey, Dino, I'm flying the bubble helicopter. What do you think, dude? I mean, like, I'm having fun, so don't get me wrong. Even though I've been kind of trash talking this helicopter the entire time, it's fun. It's a fun helicopter. I just feel like the inertia of the body and the movements with the cyclic are really, really oversold. That could be a me thing. Like I said, my experience in a real 47 is very limited. And I try to set this up weight-wise about where I was in the real thing, as far as fuel and passengers. But the body inertia of it feels strange. But if anybody else has flown a real 47, if you're watching this later in time and you're not a live viewer, please let me know. You know, it could be a lot more accurate than I'm expecting. It's just hard to tell. And also, I'm manual with the throttle now, which is a bit more involved, so that's why I'm looking at my gauges down there a lot more. I'm trying to keep everything in the green. But hopefully this will make the auto a little bit better coming in. We won't have that weird jumping around. Also, this thing skids on the ground really weird. I feel like they really put effort into skidding on the ground in the design of this, but I also feel like they really, really underdid the amount of friction that exists in real life with helicopter skids. Okay, let's do another auto and come down in here. And we'll flick the governor back on. Do a little bit more groundwork with it just to see if it feels better now that I'm accustomed to being in this particular model. But I think I know where it's going to go in the tier list, so we're at 75 knots, we're coming in. Get ready to drop this thing like a rock. Okay, auto rotation in 3, 2, 1, down by half probably. It's like as soon as there's not power applied to it, it just wants to handle way differently, and that's not the case in real life. It's so weirdly inertia accepted. And we're gonna go for a full down because why not? There we go. That was much better. I want to flick the governor on down here. Here we go. Governor's on. So now I don't need to worry about that. Let's try taking off raw again, now that I'm used to it. Still very swimmy. It's not as bad as it was. Let's see. Not a lot of pedal authority. And again, like I said, this thing, it drives like you imagine like an old, like, 4-door long bed diesel truck. That's the equivalent of this thing driving, in my opinion. It's almost like you want a little bit of forward taking off, or else it does a really bad tilt backwards. Yeah, so far I don't. This is the first one we've done in the video or the stream so far. But of all the helicopters that I have downloaded and that come factory in the game, this is by far the most difficult one to fly. And I don't say that lightly. Every helicopter in the simulation is extremely easy for me to fly. The 206 being the next hardest, but that's from flying side as well, so their flight dynamics carry over. Or their flight theory, whatever their model setup is, it carries over into this. And like I said, the best way I can explain it is the inertia of the entire helicopter itself just seems off. Something just doesn't seem right about it. Like I said, it's you put in a little movement, and the helicopter carries itself in a way that does not feel like the real thing, or feel like a helicopter usually carries itself in real life. Let's do a spot landing on the dirt patch here. Let's not do it on the pavement. Settle it out. I just want her on the ground. Okay. Okay, not bad. Like I said, it's a good helicopter. My VR controller doesn't work on these switches, which is a bit annoying. What else? It's not bad though. It's not bad. It's a good helicopter, and I don't want to take anything away from Fly Inside. They create a very good and a very competent machine that takes somebody who really knows how to handle it to get it out. Am I the person that knows how to handle it? Sure, to an extent, but it carries itself so much differently than the way the real thing does. Which is what throws me off. Of course, also, you gotta consider they built this with whatever their peripherals are, whatever controls they have, and I have this one here from Apache simulators, so the way mine feel way different than theirs. Maybe they have a lot of resistance with their cyclic, Maybe they have a curve set up on theirs, which I'm not going to mess with any of my curves because I quite like the way mine are. Let's see. Search by input. Curves. Does it show curves? Device input curve override. There's a way to show the curve, but I'm not. We'll figure it out eventually. Anyways, where it's the amount of effort that you put into doing it, where maybe the little move at the beginning means a lot, or maybe the little move at the beginning doesn't mean a whole bunch, and they could have definitely set that up in a different way. So we'll end this flight and we'll throw it on our grading scale. Let's see. Can I print screen this screen here? Let's see. I'm going to pop out of VR for a second. And I believe I'm still able to be heard if I put my head there. Let's see. Control print screen. I'm going to open up this. Crop. File, save as JPEG. Want to be in tier list. Open B47. Save. Okay, so now I should be able to hide this and show you web. Maybe. Nope, that's not visible. Properties. Oh, let's do okay. Okay, cool. Here we are. So we are going to layer, add images layer, Bell 47, open, cancel. Okay, so Bell 47G from Fly Inside. I think it's a really solid helicopter. Oop. Cold Case 999, I got Microfly Flight Plan VR and simple HOTAS setup last week. Never been in a real helicopter. I've only been in a plane twice. I have no idea what I'm doing, but it's fun. Northern Taco, what's going on, man? Yeah, so I've got a few videos about how to fly on this channel if you want to check those out. And I'll kind of go over it a little bit here on the next helicopter if you're still sticking around. It's not that bad. So a lot of people want to talk at the Fly Inside ones way up here, and I feel like they could be in the A or B category if they were to publish their curves and if they were to make it more applicable to all setups. But I feel like mine does so well with all the other ones and it does not do good with these. I don't think that they're just like the chosen one helicopters. So sadly, I'm going to call the Fly Inside Bell 47 a C tier model. Ways it could be better. Like I said, publish the curves or maybe not make it, fix the inertia. The helicopter has a weird inertia with it, and that's what throws it off for me. So, yeah, let's get back to doing the other stuff. So I'm going to turn this back on. Go back to Flight Sim there. Put my headset back on. Get back into this. Okay. And y'all can see this going on now. Sick. Next, what do we want to look at next? Like I said, that was the one I've had the least experience with, so I wanted to get it out of the way first, even though I do like what they're doing. Let's see what other helicopters we have. And if anybody has any suggestions of what helicopter they want to see me do next, please feel free to speak up. Giving me the freedom of choice is a bad thing. And I don't want to do like all the worst helicopters first. I want to jump around and do a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, a little bit of mid, a little bit of everything. I basically got everything that you could get. So we have the Airbus 125, the 145, the 160, the 225, the Bell 407, which has gone downhill, the UH-1 Huey that's from the game itself, not the one you get from Taug's Hangar, even though it's their model, just like a babified version of it. Boeing from the game, Cowan Sim 206, their 206L, their 222B, their 500E, their 125, which is different than the other 125, same but different. Their 130, R22, S-76, Sky Crane, the Eurocopter 135, which everybody got for some reason, for no reason. Bell 206 from Fly Inside, which is who we just did the 47 with. The stock Cabri, the Taug's Hughes 300, the Miltech BO-105 and their Black Hawk, R66, the Shrike 530, Taug's Huey, that's not a helicopter, get out of here, and the Taug's 315 Bravo. So I got a handful here. I have very little time on the Shrike. I just got this, so maybe we do this one next. Now let's see what configuration looks like, see what sort of options exist. That's one thing I didn't do in the 47. Hey, how's it going? Try the R22? Yeah, we'll do the 22. Since we have a suggestion, we'll do the 22. And I probably have the most experience. I guaranteed I have the most experience in this sim with the 22. Okay, so the 22 here is from Cowan Simulations. In real life, and I guess in the game too. It's a IO360 engine. 360 cubic inch, 4-cylinder, 124 horsepower continuous, 131 for 5-minute takeoff, whatever. They've got a lot of liveries here, and something cool about Cowan is all their liveries are real-life liveries, so you would see these in different places. We're going to do 3458. I like that dark blue color. We'll worry about payload and stuff once we get in the helicopter as well. Oh yeah, we're going to do all of them. This will be a longer stream tonight, but we're going to include every single one. And again, what we're going to do, we're going to start here at my home airport, because this is where I fly a 22 out of in real life. So, give us back our sunlight. Same conditions outside, and we'll get into it. So yeah, props to them. So they've got a pretty good looking model, which we'll see that up close. A good selection of different liveries that are in it. Admittedly, I taught myself how to fly on this helicopter, more or less. Well, I kind of did it with the Cabri G2 at first, because it was the helicopter that came with the game. But I eventually bought this one very shortly after and started flying it. There's no pre-flights on this one. You hop in and go, much like the other one. Plus, this model was built for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, so it... Get out of my helicopter. So this was built during 2020, or for 2020, so when 2024 came out, pre-flights weren't a thing in 2020, so I don't think that carried over. I think if they were designing this now, they might include that. So Shift-C puts us inside. And if you notice on the camera at the top left, this is the controls that I actually have here for my peripherals. So getting ourselves in the right place. They have good-looking passengers compared to some of the other ones that look like tractors. Fuel on, we put the fuel cover on. We can turn our battery and strobe on. There are more pre-flight procedures to do outside. As far as checking emergency lights, that's how you test all these. There's actually buttons under a cowling out there. Don't do... Why? Okay, got throttle all the way down. Governor's turned off right now. And we've got a good start. As soon as you start, you notice that your temperatures and everything are good. You can click your alternator and your clutch. And then as you're doing that, make sure that your RPM stays there and it doesn't bog itself down. Now the clutch does act weird in this. That's one thing that, well, not weird, or not clutch, the governor. See, in real life, no, my throttle's all the way down, buddy, all the way down. So in real life, and that's what I was saying right there, in real life the startup procedure is you let the clutch light go off while they're sitting here down below the yellow. Now that the clutch light is off, the governor would be on during all of this. And see now how the governor is going to want to take this up. Usually the governor does not hit effect until 80% throttle. Once you hit 80% throttle, or 80% RPM, sorry, that's when the governor takes over, but this one seems unpredictable and more dependent on where the throttle position is. So usually when I'm going through the startup, I leave the governor off, which I have a switch down here, same thing on the game. And I'll do my startup procedures here, which include like testing the sprag clutch, magnetos, and stuff like that, which that's all modeled. It's all stuff that you can do. And now here's a thing that I've noticed in this as compared to the real one. In the real helicopter, you do hover autos and stuff like that. And even doing the sprag clutch check on the ground, there's usually a pretty strong separation between those two needles. How you see the E and the R in the RPM, usually you can rev it up, drop it there, and the needles split. When I say drop it, I mean I'm closing the throttle. The needles split a lot more drastically than that. Here they kind of slowly fall apart and stick together, and it's like a very loose sprag clutch. Anyways, tomato. Let's see, tab, let's see what our weights are at. Not accurate weights, so we'll make it more accurate. 195, 190 for me. We'll do a passenger at 170, 165. 89% capacity. We're basically there on fuel. We're 4 pounds underweight. So cool. We're basically max gross weight. We're going to be taking off here. And it doesn't matter with any helicopter. Max gross weight is max gross weight. So left pedal taking off because that's the way the blades spin. That's our power pedal. Too much left there. And now if you saw the other one that we were flying, the Bell 47, we were swimming it a lot. And I'm sure you could swim this one too if you're getting used to it. Oh, also, cold case, if you're still in here. So I don't know how much you've looked into helicoptering in real life. So you have 3 main controls. You have your cyclic, which is the middle, forward, backward, left, right. That's basically going to be in charge of tilting the helicopter itself one way or the other. Your pedals down here rotate it by changing the thrust coming out of your tail rotor, and your collective down here on the left changes the collective angle pitch of the main rotor blades, which takes you up and down basically. As you apply more pitch, you ask for more torque from the engine, which means it's going to torque the body of the helicopter the other way, because that's how physics work, equal and opposite reaction. So as you lift up, if I keep both my pedals straight, you're going to notice a right turn. So you have to apply left pedal to cancel that right turn as you pick up. Just go slowly. They call it a 2-stage pickup. You really can't feel the 2-stage in the game because you don't get the movement. Unless you have a motion platform, then good for you. Congratulations. But pick up slow, and if you start, I'll even my pedals out again. If you start to see the helicopter twisting to the right one way, just put left pedal in to cancel it out. Now I'm moving forward. I'm going to cancel out pulling back and slowly try to pick up with the helicopter with as little movement as possible. So anyways, here we are. We're hovering. The hover power required at max gross weight seems close to real life. And actually, we're kind of cold outside right now. I don't have it on current weather. I have it on just clear weather, so we have a good test space for everything. So something on here which we'll point out doing the auto rotations as well. But in the hover auto, like I said, the sprag clutch feels like it's kind of weird and loosey. If I close the throttle here, I'm very, like, I can super progressively set the helicopter down, and there's no, like, big snatch of power one way or the other. Which in real life, when you close the throttle, when you're doing a hover auto, the helicopter basically does this. And it snatches one way. So you have to be ready to catch it with the pedals really quickly. And it doesn't do that in the game, which I think is a bit of rotary inertia issues. And I don't want to call it issues. Rotary inertia not programmed as appropriately as it could be. But with that said, helicopter is pretty well modeled. The textures seem a bit better than what's in the fly-inside ones. And before we take off and go all the way over there, let's go over to the trees first real quick. And I'm going to turn the temperature up, make it a little bit hotter outside. So one thing the R22 is limited to, obviously since we're basically at max gross weight, is we're limited at our max performance takeoff. Just because there's not a lot of power. Especially in warm air. Right now it's cooler outside, so it's almost like a rocket ship compared to what you usually fly with. But if we can reach up here, turn the weather, temperature up to like 90, yeah, that works. Okay, so 34 Celsius on our temperature down there. It's going to take more power to hover. You can see we're barely off the ground now, and it's sucking all of our power. When I'm talking power, I'm looking at our manifold pressure there. How much vacuum the engine is pulling to do whatever maneuver that we're talking about. So getting out over these trees, me alone in the helicopter would be possible. I can almost go straight up. With the weight of an extra person in here, max performance takeoff without maxing out your gauge is basically impossible. So it's very well modeled that way. I think they got the power abilities of the helicopter pretty well sorted. Because it does feel like a dog when you're flying in real life. So we're going to get a little bit of speed up here. Pull a little bit of extra power or whatever. This is a zero repercussion machine. If I was flying completely realistically, I'd just go fly in real life. I wouldn't be using the simulator. Which we will have some real life flying videos coming up soon. It just, guess what? Cost money. And this, I've already paid for. So, as you can see, we're still using a lot of pressure to get off the ground, which is fine. That's good. It's modeled well. So if you want something that handles a bit more spryly, you want to have a bit more fun, don't ride with a passenger who stares. Although there is one thing I have noticed with this. This is a pretty slow helicopter in real life. I rarely cruise over 80, 85 knots, just because you really have to push into it. And here in the sim, it seems to want to go a lot faster. So right here, we're holding level. We're already pushing 70 knots. If I even add a little bit more power towards our limits, and still holding, I'm even gaining altitude right now. We're climbing up to 80 knots. And it's not, maybe I'm pushing this far forward. You can see the cyclic's pretty far forward, and there's very light pressure that I have to do with this. Maybe if I had if I was more willing to really shove my arm out here in real life, I would fly faster, but I don't. I don't know if it's a modeling issue. It just seems a lot more faster in the game. That could also be due to the fact that there's no wind blowing me around. Something I do wish this had, I do wish it had the trim string on the front windscreen. Most people use this for training. Other things this has, we have different panel options. So we have varying levels of Garmin goodies. You can change GTN options there as well. This one right here would be most similar to what I'd fly in real life, and at least it does give us a trim ball here, right there, where we can kind of have an idea of what our trim's like, but I don't think it necessarily works because we've got dead wind today and it's telling us that we're that far off trim. And for me to be flying with this much left to try to center that trim ball, it just doesn't seem right. So I don't know what's causing the issue with that. We'll dock a few points for that. There's no official point system for our judging of helicopters. We're just going by things that I notice. There are a lot of people who will point out more physical accuracies. I've noticed looking at some of the discords of the developers of different companies. And people are like, oh, well, the painted line on this livery is usually a little bit further to the back, and I'm not going to pick apart stuff like that. I'm picking apart things. It's my tier list. This isn't everybody's tier list. It's Matt's tier list. But I think I'll have a pretty good grasp that most people can appreciate. Okay, so here we are. We are about 900 feet above the ground right now. Traveling 85 knots, way too fast for what I want to do. We usually want to enter an auto rotation at around 75 knots. 70, 75 in the R22. When you enter, you'll get down to the 65 knot gliding speed. And here's where I say, like, it feels like the blades have a lot more inertia. Usually, if I were to enter here, or where I enter, I'll end up at the 1,000-foot markers. And see there how my RPM's climbing up right there? I'm adding a decent bit of collective here. Trying to maintain that 65 knots. So I'm having to slow myself down by pulling backwards on the cyclic some. Going to even lower the cyclic a little bit to build some of that RPM back up and keep us kind of right there in the middle of the green. And usually I would have been on the 1,000-foot markers and that would have been it. But we're still going. And there I even dumped off my energy just because I wanted to be on the ground, because we would have kept floating down the runway there. But the blade system here has a lot more inertia than what the real one has. Maybe they were using a different model. Maybe it was a super dirty helicopter that somebody had strapped on a whole bunch of different weights to the end of the blades. They had more weight. I don't know. But in all of the R22 Beta 2s that I've flown, which is 4 of them, I think, 4 different tail numbers, most of them fall more straight down than this one. This one just wants to glide, which, not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. At the end of the day, getting practice is getting practice. You're managing the same sort of things. It seems to react about the same. As far as inputs with the cyclic and with the collective, where you're pulling back, pushing forward, whatever amounts of collective that you put in, they seem to give you about the same amount of reaction. So for those of you who don't know, I assume most people watching a helicopter tier list understand auto rotations, but I'm watching this gauge right here. Engine RPMs on the left, rotor RPMs on the right. And when you enter an auto rotation, it's because you've had an engine failure most of the time, or something where you need to get to the ground and you don't want to trust the engine. Let's see. I always thought that if a helicopter motor stopped, it just fell out of the sky, but now after watching vids, I learned that they float down. Does it work in the sim? Yeah, that's what I just did. So that was an auto rotation. So yeah, basically right now under normal flight, you're taking air from the top and you're shoving it down. When you're falling out of the sky, you're shoving air up through the system. So you can imagine your rotor blades, they're controlled by pitch. You're not speeding the engine up to go up. You're not slowing it down to go down. It's all a pitch thing. So when your blades are pretty flat, you're not gaining any altitude or gaining any speed. When you add more pitch, it's creating more lift. So when you pitch them flat, some blades have a slight twist or just whatever the way they're aerodynamically designed. When you have the blades more or less flat, the air going up through it keeps the RPM in it. So it keeps the RPM moving as you fly, or as you drop. So the downward energy that you're putting into the wind moving down, and your forward energy as you're moving forward, that energy is stored. They kind of talk about it in like weird ways, and they're trying to teach you it. If you understand energy conservation, you know, kinetic energy going up, or potential energy as you go up, or like as you're speeding forward, can be traded into the rotor system. So basically that's what we're doing there. So another thing is, in the R22s, with them being such, which we're going to gain a lot more altitude, we're going to try something here. They have a very low inertia rotor system. You have to do a thing in the United States called the SBAR 73, which is a special class that teaches you about mast bumping, which is a danger with two-bladed helicopters, which doesn't exist in the game. Kind of wish it did. And about rotor inertia, where if you lose an engine, you have maybe a second and a half to put your collective down before you lose your rotor RPM. And it will get to a point where even if you enter an auto rotation, it'll already be too slow of a rotor RPM to maintain the air going through. And then you do, in fact, drop like a brick. So what I'm going to do, we're going to get up here to this height up here. I'm going to turn off the engine here now. You see the rotor RPM's dying. Here I would be dead. This would be, I fall from the sky, I'm dead. But if I enter an auto in the sim, it will still build me back up. In real life, this would not work like this. And I'm still in an auto right now, but we just have so much forward airspeed. So in real life, you would die. There's a diminishing point of rotor RPM where you will not get it back through auto-rotative state. And that does not exist in the game. At least that I found. Maybe it's just these models. I don't think I've tried it with everything. So yeah, anyways, your auto rotations, they should be boring. It should be like you set your speed at 65 by pitching with your cyclic forward or backward. And if your rotor RPM's a little bit high, you can either pitch forward to lower it some, or you can add some pitch with a collective. You get to like 100 feet, 40 feet, and you start flaring a little bit. And as you get down even more, you flare down, then you push forward, and you land without engine. But anyways, also there's other people in here, so even if you got it, somebody else probably learned something. I need the governor on. Also, with that said, to do auto rotations in the game, it's very strange for throttle manipulation and governor and stuff like that. Because usually you can manhandle the throttle down below 80%. And right here, I've turned the throttle down. It seems to be picking up there. But a lot of times, you have to like snap the throttle down and close it a few times and then hit the governor and then do all that. And it becomes a bit of a pain to do. And see there, it still gave me engine RPM even though I had the throttle closed. So, strange. With that said, overall though, without nitpicking like little rotor inertia things and little things that could be weird with like the programming of throttle, and that could be also dependent on people's peripherals. You know, if you have different controllers, if you have a HOTAS setup like Cold Case does there, you're like a Vipril or something like that I know Bell2 has, and there's a handful of different sim setups that you can use, and it really all depends. But either way, not a bad helicopter. It's best, no, not the best by far, but really, really good. And if you're wanting to learn the general startup procedure of a 22 and kind of get it in your head and learn how to fly on something that's not overpowered to where you're just not, where you can like band-aid yourself with just a super snazzy, fancy helicopter. See here, I've got the throttle all the way down. I've got the governor off. And it's still holding RPM. Why? Because you have to like bump bottom throttle a few times to let it know that it needs to be down. It's weird. And then you'd go through a cooldown procedure and whatever. We don't have time for that. This is a rental helicopter anyways. I do like that I can use my controller here. That's nice. Actually, let's just turn everything off and look at it from outside. So yeah, not bad. Pretty solid helicopter. There are some things that are not the best on it. I wish the trim strings existed because that's a thing in real life. Especially with this model, since it's a trainer helicopter. You're not getting this to be doing giant cross-country trips and stuff. It's set up to teach you how to fly. The inertia would be a good thing because, again, I think most people flying this in the simulator are doing it to supplement training in real life. I taught myself how to do hovering and maneuvers and stuff in this. I went and got my license in real life, and every single training flight that I did in real life, I've repeated in here. Every trip that I've wanted to do in real life, I've done it first in this just so I can learn where I'm going and what I'm doing. And generally know power, fuel planning, seeing how everything works. Of course, I do all the real paperwork in real life too, but, you know, it's slightly different in here, and I feel like with very little work, this could be great. The handling's already pretty much there. It has the same waving and everything. It's pretty much there. But it's so close to being great, but it's not. A lot of a lot of different versions of it. I'm going to go back to full screen so we can screenshot. Let's see, control print screen gives us that. I can hop over to paint now. Control V. I can crop that down. It's close to being great. I don't want to consider myself an expert. I don't know if I can tell you what would make it great. File, save as, JPEG, R22. Save. Okay, so there's that done, and we'll come over here. Now we'll put you guys back on this screen. I'll go there now. Layer, add image. Why does it do that? Add images layer, R22. Open R22. It's close to being S tier. I don't think it's quite there. Too many little things that are wrong with it for the purposes that people would use this model. If it was like a Black Hawk or the Chinook, and you're judging auto rotation capabilities, I think it's a moot point because they're 2-engine helicopters and you usually have single engine stuff. And like they train autos once a year, but whenever you're in an R22, you train autos almost every day. So I feel like that could have been better. It's close. I feel like it's gotten better since I got it, maybe. But it's still not the best. The R66 does better. Is it A tier? There aren't many variants, so they had one variant, obviously. Helicopter King, what's going on? Sorry, I put your Bell 47 down here in C tier. It's just weird. Nothing against the 47. It's just the model that exists in flight sim's not as good as I would like it to be. So R22 here, A tier. For what it is, it does really, really good. But I don't think anything's jumping out to me as like, this is the world's craziest programming masterpiece of anything. But also, like, it's not like you have all that stuff in a 22 anyways. So I'm kind of stuck between B and A. I'm going to put it in B tier right now. Not because I think there's anything inherently wrong with it. But because I don't feel like it's fancy enough to be an A tier. But since it doesn't have all that fancy stuff, they should have fixed all the little things. You know, like you're not putting 6,000 different electrical systems in here. And so you should have paid more attention to rotary inertia and stuff like that. So anyways, let's move on to the next one. Suggestions for the next helicopter people. What we got? We've done the 47 and the R22. Let me get back in VR so we can see what we're doing. Let's see, I believe y'all can see this now. You really want to go in a heli now, but I live in Western Australia, country town, long way from anywhere. There's not many out here, unfortunately. I'm off to get in my sim. Thanks for yeah, of course. If you're still in here and you ever get a chance to go to the East Coast, look up Ocean View Helicopter. I have a friend who is down there. Feel free to say Tom sent you. I don't know if they do teaching, but I know they do tours. But yeah, it's definitely worth it. Helicopter's got a good helicopter. Australia's got a good helicopter crowd. So yeah, get with it, dude. Hope to see you in a stream again sometime soon. Okay, so let's look at other stuff. We've done the 47 and the 22. I'm kind of thinking we do 66 next, just because we stay in the Robinson family and get those knocked out of the way. Any objections to that? Also, I kind of wanted to do the stream a few days later, but I wanted to do something today and I didn't feel like doing any of my RP sort of things. So I'm going to start with the 66. If you have other ideas, feel free to say something and we'll switch. So R66, this is a factory one from Microsoft Flight Sim. This isn't a third-party one. And you'll know that because it's so crappy. Thanks, Microsoft. Two different variants. You have spray system variant. So you can use it for the career mode, doing crop dusting and passengers. We'll do passengers. Liveries, not much. Livery 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And livery white. Why not just call it livery 11? Don't get it. We're going to stick with the orange one. Fuel and payload, we'll worry about that once we hop in the game. Huey? Nope. Okay, cool. We're in the Huey. We will do the Taugs Huey. Let's do this one. So there's 3 different versions of the Huey here. We have the Taugs Army one, which misses some of the... Or I'll give you the choice. You want the civilian 205 or do you want the Huey? And then there's the one that came in the Stranger Things pack. This one's been neutered, so it's not as good as the other ones. But you did say Huey, so we'll set Huey here, the real thing. Variants, are there variants? I don't remember. We'll see. I know there's high skid version in the civilian. I don't know if they have high skid in this one. Livery, Army Rescue. There's a handful of liveries, but then again, there weren't a whole bunch of liveries. Ooh, that looks cool. There weren't a whole bunch of liveries to begin with, just because it's mildly used platform. It's not like the world's most popular platform. But anyways, there are a handful, so Taugs did a good job of that. And Taugs is very particular. Huey, yeah. So we'll get in there, and I've actually never flown with this. What the hell? What are you doing here? Taking off from Speedway again, set the time during the day. Let's get here and look at the outside and see how good it looks. So good on the variants. Like I said, they do have a high skid model on the Civilian 205 that you get when you do purchase it. I forget the purchase price on these. That is something that we should take into consideration for how we're judging these, but I'm not going to worry about that really. Not on my big on my list. Looks great on the outside, even getting up close. Good rivets, good detail. I mean, it's what a 5-footer. You get closer and you can really start seeing the pixels, but that's also, I'm running VR. So there is a lack of detail, so just because I have to run at a lower resolution to run VR. But anyways, Taugs Hangar Huey. We get in. Looks good. I'm going to shorten myself down a little bit. Oh yeah. Everybody knows what the Huey is. It just wasn't as popular of a platform as like the 206. You know, and not saying the 206 is better than the Huey. The Huey's big and expensive to run and maintain. So it's limited in its uses, obviously. Military, heavy lift, big transport, things like that. So in here, we're very sparsely populated, but all the gauges look really, really good. I mean, you can tell there's a layer of glass. Even on this one here, you can tell there is schmutz on the glass. And then the gauge behind it, and you can see volume to the actual needles and everything. And this one's deeper set in. This one you can see interior bits of the gauging. It very well done. Taugs does a great job with their models. And I'm actually getting their 365 Dolphin here soon to play with. And I wish I had it for this review, but whatever. This just gives us a reason to do another one. So we'll go through startup procedure. We have battery up here. And they are very particular with their... go away. They are very particular with their startup procedures, but I'm still not going to listen to it. Don't need to worry about tank transfer or anything. We have battery on. We have the fuel turned on. You have to be careful with hot starting this thing. So we have it in start mode right there. That's set to normal. That's set to essential bus. Inverter off. We can do that later. Cargo release anti-collision lights, and we'll turn those on, sure. And I'm going to use the starter button that's on my cyclic, although they have a starter button down there. I think I can use the one on my cyclic and it will be okay. I can click and release as we hit around 15 to 20% RPM. We click the littlest bit of throttle. We have to be ready to turn the throttle down to manage temperatures, because if you hot start, SOL, sorry bud, but we kept the temperatures low there. RPM's moving up. We can turn the generator to generator. Inverter can go on there. IFF is over here. We can get rid of that light. Technically. One of these gets rid of the IFF light. But the IFF light doesn't matter. That's just like a friendly fire thing. And sometimes I've had weird luck moving it around. And now, as you're getting up to rotor speed, you got to keep your torque low. Torque pressure's got to stay low, or it will over torque the engine. You'll get a chip light. Yeah, the details in here are great, and the 205 looks great. I can turn master caution off, I believe. I think it's just RPM that's doing that. Okay, so the IFF is something here. So I can see this without killing us. Stand by. That's on normal. 0 on. There we go. Okay, cool. That got rid of that. Let me fix my little headset thing. Slowly turning up our throttle. One thing I will say is that the skids are very tilty on this one. That's somewhat a side effect of me having a non-centering cyclic. That's on me. And we are in the operating RPM range there. See, we're translating around. You have to be completely centered with this thing. I'm sure there's a way to turn this off. I kind of don't care right now. We're looking at other stuff. I'm sure if I followed their book, their plan exactly, then it would matter. Usually there's a master caution light, whatever. Anyways, so yeah, me having a non-centering cyclic, this is annoying. See, like, I move a little bit and this thing's going around. I'm barely touching my cyclic. So I feel like feel like they could do better with that. 39 miles, 31 miles. Okay, so let's get ourselves centered back up again. Slowly pick up, left pedal heavy. The sound is good. I'll say that for this. And I know that's your thing too, Mr. Helicopter King. I didn't do anything with weight on this, so we're very light right now, so it feels more sprightly than probably what it has any business being. It's probably never been this sprightly in its life. Keep the torque low. Get our speed up and get out. And I will say the good thing is with this sound, you can get good slap. Also, with the Towers Hangar models, we have exterior options, so we can turn doors on, get better sound, put the door back on. The sound goes away. Very cool. There's winches, side armaments, different antennas and stuff that you can get. Yeah, very cool. Okay, let's go over here and set up for an auto to see what the rotary inertia feels like in it. Again, Huey, super cool. Got a lot of power. Right now I'm only pulling like 30% torque. Even when you throw it the right way, you get the correct blade slap, which is good. And you can hear the blade slap sound as I changed around to different positions of collective and cyclic and everything. Okay, cool. Let's get our ponies up and grab a little bit of altitude real quick. Oh yeah, here. There we go. I got the light. That's what it was. Okay, and actually, let me take the door off real quick. We'll do the auto with the doors off because the sound's really good. You won't be able to hear me as well, but and also I have the downwash turned off for their models because it seems to be a little bit excessive, and nobody really models, at least that I don't remember, nobody's really modeled the downwash in the dirt and stuff, or when you lower your collective and you're not creating any sort of downwash, then it goes away. So, also it looks good with the doors off. Well, they don't slide the doors back, it just takes the side doors back, but I don't know if that's an option, I just didn't see. Could have very well have been, honestly. Okay, we got a little bit of altitude for us. We're still barely pulling any torque, which is nice. This will help get us a little bit of speed lower as well. Come in for a weird wide approach into 2-4 here at Speedway in Georgia. Okay, cool, we're at 1,800 feet, which is about 1,000 feet above the ground. We're traveling really, really fast. Let's slow down some. There's a lot of power, we're really light. So, kind of easy to go fast. So we're doing 70 knots there. I can see the runway, auto rotation. Good separation of the blades. Not really overspeeding. And auto rotations are supposed to be boring. That's one thing a lot of people don't think about. And it seems like it's got a good path too. Like it's steeper than the R22, which is good. That's the way it should be. blades seem grippy, or not the blades, the skids, they seem grippy, which kind of throws me off, but you know, well, whatever, like the flying dynamics are good. If the skidding dynamics are different, that's, I don't know how that's programmed, honestly. But with that said, one thing that I have noticed with some helicopters, we didn't test this on the 22 or the 47, but if we're looking, hey, do you know what's going on, bud? If we look at something like slope landings and such, which, let's see, we'll do it facing this way. So with slope landings, you kind of have to like dig your skid into the dirt just a wee bit, not much. Right here, my right skid's going to touch first. You kind of push your skid in, so I like how that sticks. 22 kind of slides up the hill. I don't like that. This one seems to stick in the hill, and that's good. A little bit of rotation with it, but not bad. See, when I go full right here, it does push me up the hill, which is not the best, but it does seem to stick if you're very minute with your movements. Here we're up to level again. Step off. But yeah, not bad. The Huey here, solid helicopter. They have the other model as well, the 205, which you can get Garmin type avionics in it, glass cockpit. If you want to use it for more modern style missions, you can. Very good sounds. They're extremely detailed too, like we were looking at the glass on the gauges here earlier. And I feel like the exterior could be better. But that's also a bit due to the fact that I'm in VR and my visual settings are a bit lower than max. That's just to keep frame rates up, so that way I can see this more appropriately. Let's see how long is this taking. So Huey, good. Oh yeah, also one thing that's not modeled here, which I think it kind of should be, is... Actually, we're going to test two more things real quick. First, we're going to test mass bumping. That's the thing with two-blade rotor systems, so the R22 should have done it. It doesn't. And this is one from Towers. Towers does really, really good models, so there's a chance that they have mass bumping as a thing. And what that is low G. That's what we'll do. We'll build some speed up here. We'll do a little bit of positive G. Build some altitude. And then low G pushover. And yeah, usually that would be not a good thing, but it seemed to handle it fine. The other thing I want to check is settling of power, which we may need to be heavier for that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to come in hot over here to the run-up pad, try to kill all my airspeed. Yeah, I shouldn't have been able to stop that good. Yeah, Vortex ring state, something that's very rarely modeled. I think the OH6 has it modeled. You're about to drive. Dude, thanks for being in here. I'll see you around soon. Plan on watching one of your longer videos tonight. Got nothing else going on, so I'm going to use that to chill out too and relax and do some thinking and processing and stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching. We're going to get our vertical speed to 0. We're going to get our airspeed to 0. So now we're just in a hover. And now if I kind of going backwards, I want to go backwards. I'll have 0 ground speed too. Here now we're falling out of the sky. If I add pitch, I shouldn't be able to slow the fall down, but we did. So yeah, vortex ring state's not really modeled, which is generally the same thing as settling the power. Which is kind of like if you're doing a descent too quick into something like this, it'll catch you. Because you get into like an uncontrolled descent. but here you're able to catch it pretty effortlessly. So that's not modeled, but like I said, I don't think it's really modeled anywhere in the game. Anyways, solid helicopter, really, really good. Even if the ground thing's kind of weird, but that's also me having non-centering cyclic and all of that stuff. So that's not really a thing. Kind of in a weird place for that. But yeah. Actually, all this can go off. Not like we're trying to save this thing. We're gonna hop out. Solid helicopter, decent modeling. The interior's got a lot of attention to it. The aerodynamics seem to feel really, really good. Skids are sticky, which I like that. Autos really, really well. Makes all of the good sounds. Overall, I think this is a great piece. And there's 2 variants that you get with it, which is also sick. The 205 civilian version, which has more glass cockpit things, as well as this military version, which is, like we saw, more standard. I'm going to hop out of VR. We're going to screenshot, control print screen, control V. I'm just doing my stuff over here to get the screenshot available so we can put it in the tier list. File, save as, JPEG, Huey. Save. Now I'm going to bump you guys over to this. I'm going to come over to this. Huey. Okay, Huey here. Is it S tier? That's the question. It does things really, really well. The things that it doesn't do, other things in the game also don't do. So that can be more of a limitation of Microsoft Flight Simulator itself, and maybe not so much Talg's Hangar or the model. With that said, it's either A tier or S tier. But which one? That's the question. Let's look at the things. Can we see how much this dude cost? Marketplace, aircraft. Helicopter, Talg's Hangar, Huey. I know it's owned, but will you tell me how much it cost? Doesn't say there. I think it was like $30. For that, I think it's a great deal. I think if you want a military aircraft where you can get the good sounds and have that feeling, but also have something that's made to a standard to where you do something wrong, it'll catch you. You know, you can get ship lights in this, you can have over torques, and you can have things go wrong with it, which is great. None of the other helicopters really do that in there. And that's a plus for Talg, so I'm going to throw those up in S tier right now. Will it bump down? Maybe. There's some more that helicopters are more technologically advanced. It happens. But yeah, we'll call it S tier for now. So jumping back over to Flight Sim. Let's turn that back on. Any other helicopters we want to do right now? If not, I think we can jump to... So let's get back in VR mode real quick. Main menu, free flight, helicopters, just at the Huey. I don't want to do another Talg yet. We need to look at a different brand. We haven't done a Cowan Sim one yet. Let's see. We haven't done a factory stock helicopter yet. We'll just start H-125 right here. The A-Star. configure, let's look at the different setups that they have. This is the one that comes factory from the game. This isn't the Cowan simulation one. So since this is from the game, they have it set up for all the different types of things that you can do in the career mode. Passengers, you have the ag sprayer. You have the rescue hoist on the outside. The cargo. And rescue, which is just a normal A star without extra seats in the back. I don't know why they have two. Kind of stupid on their part. But that's for a different thing. That's not for this video. Me complaining about this game is a completely separate topic. Handful of different liveries available. But honestly, they all kind of suck. When I say they all kind of suck, they all really, they're not the best. I don't even know if they're based on anything real, which is probably copyright things that they can't do. Still says tourist designs or discoveries on the back, and not tourist for flight sim ones, which is so. It's honestly ridiculous. They could have done so good. Payload and stuff we're not going to worry about. Okay, saving back. Let's hop in here. Let's give her a peek. Start flight. Okay, so this is the Airbus H125 or the Eurocopter EC125 or 350 AS350 Aeropastel, but this would be the B3 Echo model, which is about a little bit less than 1,000 horsepower. So we got blade socks here, so we have pre-flighting gear at least. We have an exterior pitot cover. We have a static port down there, but usually when you're clicking on the static port, you accidentally click on the door there. No, there we go. It's super annoying. Like, I get that they want to make it where you don't have to click on the door handle itself, but if I click up here, I don't want to open the door. I'm trying to do something else. If I'm clicking down here, I'm not clicking on the door. I'm doing something else. And then also here, nope, not that one. Also here, you can check the oil. You can pop the trans tunnel open. There's not much back here. You usually can. I don't know what it's doing now, but yeah, there's some more things. And look, they can't even spell this thing right. They can't even spell it right. I mean, model looks good. I'll give that to them, you know, like good detail on all this, the hinge, the pin in the hinge, the rubber. You can tell there's different materials on everything, you know, like it's done well. But I also think they bought this model. I might have been bought from Cowan Sim. I couldn't tell you. Yeah. So Shift C puts us in. Get looking straight ahead here. I'm not going to worry about mass or anything like that. This thing has way too much power for that to matter. Although you can always still fly near max gross weight. Take the rotor brake off. Fuel's on. Batteries on. Fuel pump. Anti-collision lights on. You can go through the entire start procedure. I've done start procedure videos. You can also go in there. All that's listed. But also not necessary because we're just going to flick this button there and close the cover on it and let the FADEC, the full authority digital engine control, do its thing. But yeah, solid helicopter. I mean, modeling wise, it's done really well. It's got good attention to detail. All those things up there are just like it is in real life. I have limited experience in A-stars, but it's pretty well about what it is. One thing that does suck with the factory or these stock models that come from Microsoft Flight Sim, you can't really change your electronics any, which if there is a way, please let me know. There's not been one that I've been able to find that allows you to change stuff. Either way, engine spinning, it's there. Turn the generator on. Horn can go on. Pitot can go on. We're going to click our thing up to flight there, which isn't linked to my throttle on my collective for some reason, which is weird. Also, when you're starting out, you will notice that you will have a generator and battery light on. It does that if you start in a place. Looks like hydraulic also. Okay, that went off. When you start on the ground, cold and dark, it does that for some reason. The reason's unknown. I thought there was something wrong for a little bit with my startup procedure or my landing or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing, and there's just something wrong with the simulator itself and the way they have it programmed. Because you'll see once we take off here, our FLI is leveled out and pick back up there. We have our rotor RPM. We'll be right pedal heavy with this one as it's a European helicopter. And you can see the generator and battery lights have gone out. There is a lot of pedal authority in this helicopter, that is for sure, and that is something it has in real life. That's why they use this for a lot of stunt pilot stuff, and that's why Fred North is quite fond of these, is because they have a lot of pedal with them. With that said, let's give her a rip. Let's do some more little groundwork things real quick. So we'll start out with a quick stop. Get going like 40 or so, be like 60 feet off the deck. We're at 50 here, normal-ish quick stop speed. And we'll stop before the taxiway here on the left. That feels pretty normal. Of course, I'm a bit wiggly in it because this is like my 10th helicopter today. I think it's the 4th one of this stream, but 10th helicopter today. Because I was doing some off-camera flying as well. But it does really well. It's an A-star. It's a gold standard for a reason. I don't want to try to sell it short or anything. And I don't want to oversell it either, that it's just kind of like the miracle helicopter. But most people who fly the B3E or just the H125, they can pretty much tell you it's the bee's knees. If you just want a workhorse that turns on, moves weight, goes fast, has crazy amounts of power. Right now, I mean, we can cruise this thing up to like 140 knots or something like that. Pulling like 90% torque there. We're just going to lean into it here. We're going to add some speed. $110, 120, getting over standard auto rotation speed here. There we go, we're above that line. $130, 140. It's a missile. It's a 1,000 horsepower missile in the sky that you can land just about anywhere. We over-torqued a little bit there, but yeah, we're cruising 140 right here with relatively low effort. And we're keeping altitude too. It's not like we're descending and in a dive or something like that. But yeah, the A-Star is just such a capable platform that it's hard to give it a bad score, even though I have a lot of displeasures with the Microsoft factory models and stuff to begin with. This one is one that they did not mess up, and I don't feel bad for saying that. I think this and the R66 are their better ones that they have offered. And we can do the R66 next, but if somebody else has a suggestion of something else, we can look at that as well. So we'll come in here, we'll slow down, we're going to do an auto rotation just like we've been doing with everything else, so we can see what the inertia and dynamics of it feel like. Slow ourselves down to like 80 knots or so, where we're 1,100 feet above the ground here. .80 knots, 1,100 feet. We're going to do the same thing where we generally aim for the 1,000-foot markers there on the runway. And annoying with this because I'll have to click it with the mouse down here on the twist grip, which means I have to take one hand off everything and do whatever else. Anyways, there's that. Maintaining 70. And I can add a good bit more collective because we're adding a lot of rotor RPM there in the decel. Oh, this is nice. We'll be able to flare right into it. A little bit rough there on the end. But also, I'll give myself a little off on that because I kind of despise having this here. I should have turned this off. I like being able to see. But look, we're still holding RPM. Why? I have the throttle off. Your throttle's on, not there. There's no governor on or anything like that. It should be decaying speed quickly, but it's not. That's another thing that I have an issue with here. I don't know how real this is to real life. I don't have this particular experience with an A-Star, but I'll show you one issue that I do have. Also, I can't hear anything. There we go. So this is one issue that I do have. Let's say we're going up and we're doing something. There we go, drooping the rotor RPM a little bit. As with auto rotations, if you put too much air in the system like this, or you turn sharply, or you lower the collective too much, anyways, you can overspeed the rotor system, which is bad for transmission, blades, centripetal force, tail rotor. There's a lot of issues that can arise if you overspeed the rotor system. It's allowable to some extent. That's why there's the yellow above, but you can see a hard red line there at like 430 RPM or something like that. So I don't know how different this is. We might do a direct comparison between this and the Cowan Sim H125, but we'll put a little bit of speed in here. So let's say we're doing like a nice cruise, and I'll put the pedal to the metal here. Let's say we want to come in and go around this bank here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Oh yeah, I'm over torquing the hell out of it there. Don't matter, it's a rental. So we're coming in here, we got some speed. We're doing 125, 130 knots right here. 160 miles an hour. Also, like, you're probably not wanting to turn this fast with a helicopter anyways. But if I want to come in and land over next to the starting grid thing, lowering the collective. Oh, see, this one's handling it good. I flew in the Cowan Sim one the other day, and it really, really did not like me putting air through the rotor system. So this one managed it well. We'll see if we can get it to do it real quick, though. See if I can bully it into doing something wrong. But the Cowan Sim one, it really loves rotor RPM. If I'm coming into somewhere and I'm trying to slow down for it, it just gives me every single bit of air coming up through the rotor system, and it wants to overspeed, and it is annoying. Like I said, I don't know how real it is to real life. Don't have any A-Star time. I don't know if that's a real thing or something that was an issue that plagued an earlier model or whatever. But let's come down here and let's just do a pretty stout quick stop here at the medical station. Let's see if it does it in this one. Okay, so yeah, this one manages it all right, which there's a medical station. The Cowan Sim one, it throws you a lot of RPM as soon as you start doing any sort of decel. So maybe that's a Cowan Sim thing with their rotary inertia, because the R22, that was one of my complaints with it, was rotary inertia. So with that said, this is the factory from Microsoft Flight Simulator Airbus H125. We'll set her down. See, there we go. We're getting a little overspeed, but it's not like a terrible. It's like barely overspeed. Okay, cool. Let's see. At least get it turning off. Not worried about cooldown, not worried about that, not worried about that, not worried about that, not worried about that, that. Shift C. So yeah, the model, the physical model is good. I think the details inside, they look good. Bolt screws, rivets, all that stuff. The engine looks decent. But the liveries are lacking. The liveries are really, really lacking. The ability to change from different interiors as far as avionics and stuff like that. I mean, it's an H125. Airbus took over recently. I don't know if there are many H125s that don't have a larger glass Garmin cockpit. Most of them will have that. Very few would have more consistent steam gauges like that. So that's something that bothers me, as well as the lack of options and stuff like that. Like I said, let's see, control print screen. Let's paste this over Microsoft Paint. Control V. I will crop it. File, save as JPEG. H125. Save. So we'll turn you guys onto the tier list now, and we'll get this thing rated. Where am I going? Okay, here. Layer. Add images layer. H125. It looks like since it's a Microsoft Flight Sim 1, that's why it's blue instead of white. I'm assuming that's the thing so far. So definitely not S tier. Too many misspellings on the liveries. Not enough real liveries, which are understandable for reasons. But they all suck. They all honestly do suck. You can't change Garmin's. You can't really do anything with it, but you can use it in career mode, which is nice. But it just doesn't feel special. It's a great helicopter in real life, but it doesn't feel special. So I'm going to put it here in B tier. If it felt more special, A, I think would be appropriate, but I think B's honestly probably the best it deserves. Okay, cool. If you think of anything else we need to test, let me know. I'm going to move back to Microsoft Flight Sim here. So we've done a factory one. Let's do a... Let's see. So I've got a lot of Cowan Sim models. Did fly inside. Let's do Miltech. Let's do the Blackhawk. Might as well. Says departure. That's good. Cool. I'm gonna pop back into VR. We're in Marine 1 here. A lot of pre-flight here to do. which is nice. There's a center one up there. Can I reach it? There we go. Wheel chocks. You gotta check for little static bits and things. So it looks like this one was made to handle the exterior tanks, which is cool. That's what this bump right there is for. The weather covers over here. On one of the models, they have like a static port over on the side that you'd have to deal with. Doesn't look like it's on this version of the model. Okay, cool. So I think that's good to go. Let's get inside, take a look at everything. This is from Miltech, relatively expensive as far as Microsoft Flight Sim models go, but you're getting a lot of helicopter. You're getting a 3 or 4 different variants, a handful of very accurate liveries for each one. Very in-depth startup procedure. That's annoying right there. So that goes out of the window. Just notice that. I never take the iPad off, so if we turn the iPad back on, it's their normal. Very extensive pre-flight procedure and everything that you can go through. We're not going to do that. I'm going to wing it. I'm going to rotor it. Battery on. Let's see, are there any fuel switches down here I need to do? We'll do the boost pumps there in a bit. I think right now we just got to do the APU. APU generator there, so we can turn that on. Okay, I'm going to need to use my mouse for that one. Okay, APU generator is on. Put the source there for APU. Fuel prime, and then we can turn our boost pumps on down here. Let's see, computer powers can go on. Blade fold master on, we can put that on spread. SAS trim. Auto control for the tail. Over here, engine anti-ice, that stuff doesn't matter right yet. Engine ignition will need to be on normal. We'll have position lights on bright and flashing. I don't care about position lights. We won't. That's more of a nighttime thing. Those will cross me for a second. Let's see, we can turn generators, they can go on beforehand. We're not worried about those. Everybody say anything in the comments here. Anything else I need to do over here? That's on, that's good. Computers on. Don't need those. That's good there. Parking brake is on. That's good. Sick. Okay, cool. I think we're going to start. We can move this back to direct. Engine 1 start. Should have turned these on first. Weird, okay. What did I forget? Air source, that's there. Kind of embarrassing. What do you think? Fuel pump boosts. Controls there. Let's see, that's engine there. Fuel prime, can you go off? Usually I fly with those on. Okay, I just had to click it up there sooner. That's all it was. No big deal. Numbers are stabilizing. Cool. Click. Click. Numbers are moving. Numbers are lit. Pitot heat can go on. Air source, that can go off. That can go off. That APU's so loud. Flight, good. Rotor RPMs that we're waiting for there. Oop. Tail wheel can get unlocked now. Controls look good, feel good. This is a 2-pilot helicopter. Get in here, bud. Rotor RPM's working its way up. Actually, I think it's there already. Oh no, it's still working. NP1 and NP2, those are good. We're waiting for NR. Yeah, buttons, switches, everything looks really, really good. The covers flip on many of them. A lot of the functions are NOP. Like some more military specific one, flares, armament sort of things, etc. Kind of a bummer. This is the Marine 1 livery. Yeah, we have normal troop carrying in the back, which is not how it is. But also not many people know what the Marine 1 actually looks like in real life. So there we go. We can take the parking brake off, which I have a button for. What is bumping around underneath me over here? That's weird. Ground taxi's alright. Weirdly, the way I have my brakes set up, because sometimes I fly airplane stuff, is with the collective. So ground taxiing is hard for me. But with that said, very good, very accurate sound. I've been around Blackhawks a little bit. Cool thing is with them, you can just kind of pull these things to the moon. And the engine auto gates all of its torque levels and everything. So you can kind of just, you can make it do what you want it to do. I mean, here we're already traveling at 140 knots. We just got off the end of the runway. You do get a little bit of servo transparency in this. Yeah, something I've noticed. That's just where when you're pulling so much, the pressure and everything's built up, where whenever you start putting some input in, you're not getting the rest of your input because it's already as much as it possibly can give you. I think it's more or less the same thing as the limit line in the A-Star. Then again, I'm not an expert in that. I can tell you how it feels flying, though, which is kind of what this whole tier list is. It's Matt's opinion. With my very limited knowledge on a lot of helicopter stuff. Know a good bit, but not everything. Auto rotations really aren't a thing in Blackhawks, so I'm not going to do one of those, just because you wouldn't really do that as like a test flight in real life. What we are going to do though is set up an attack style landing, if you will. A thing of these is you land at descent rate if you're coming in for some sort of operation. So you will smack the tail kind of hard on the ground, but that's part of it. And that's kind of how you do it. I want to sit a little bit higher and do that again. Couldn't really see our landing point there. It feels weird, VR. Like these dudes are super short. I've got to be super tall sitting in here to make it feel normalish to me, where I can see appropriately to do things. But that also puts my head way up here to where I can't see switches to my left. So we'll try to do another kind of straight in. Actually, we'll go to a field over here. We'll go to the confined area field, which is where we use for training. A decent bit of weight slip there coming down, so that's nice. That plays right with this being a 10,000-pound vehicle. Will slide out of the air some. If you don't have enough centripetal force keeping you going in a sideways direction, you can add more power. We have it. Weird thing with this one, I've noticed when it's flying backwards, it kind of puts you in a death loop, which sucks. But also, not many places are you going to want to fly at like 400 miles an hour going backwards, unless you're here in the zero repercussion machine. So I don't know if we can really count that against it. Okay, cool. Setting up here into our confined area field. Kill a lot of our airspeed here. I'm going to get rid of our tablet just because it's not needed. And we'll come in from the northeast here. And this is still a pretty high approach as far as Blackhawk tactical-ish sort of things are coming in, but it's more of a normal approach. But still, you would put it on the ground just about that hard, which is wild. Really, if you were doing any sort of attack-style thing, you could be coming just over the trees and kind of doing a quick stop getting in. Get low here before we get back over to that field. But yeah, but despite this thing being a school bus, it's almost like a race car flying.
Roll right, roll right!
The lady talking's annoying. I'll say that. And then you come in. So yeah, not bad. Pretty solid helicopter, a lot of details, a lot of variants, a lot of liveries with the different variants.
Pull up, pull up!
Talking lady, super annoying. Really, really pesky, especially when you're trying to do fun stuff. Speaking of fun stuff, here, we'll do the flying backwards thing. As you start going faster and faster backwards, kind of locks you into a like you can't get out of it sort of thing. You're probably doing like 75 knots backwards there. But you have to have some sort of collective in. If you go down collective, kind of puts you in a... Get over the power lines here. It kind of puts you in a, like, driving a Sea-Doo, a jet ski, something like that. And then your hands off the throttle, you can't turn it. Flying backwards does that with that. If you are lower on the collective, you can't do anything. You have to put some sort of collective in there to get any steering. And then it will give you an extremely abrupt stop, which I don't even know if that's how it would work, but kind of thinking aerodynamically it might. Yeah, honestly, I think it's a very well sorted model. The talking lady is super annoying. Probably one of my biggest gripes with this machine. Also the fact that I feel like a giant. I mean, in here, either I'm sitting super, super close to the seat, or I'm sitting in the ceiling over here and I can't see anything. And having never flown one, I don't know how realistic that is. So that's, I don't want to say neither here nor there, but...
Pull up, pull up!
Shut up, lady.
Roll left, roll left!
I ain't never seen Marine One fly like that. And this is where the fuel farm is, here is at the airport. So this is us landing to get fuel and showing off to all the little kids over at the gate. But yeah, not bad. I don't know if there anything that could have been done better. Maybe modeling things, but that's not something I care about. I don't care about how accurate a model is, you know. As far as like interior choices, like, oh man, the seat's the wrong color, the stitches are in the wrong place. I don't care. The only thing that bugs me on this particular model is this is Air Force One. I would kind of want that to be Air Force One-ish, you know. Sue me. Other than that, super solid model. A lot of good work into it. It's on the more expensive side, that's for sure. That's not something that I'm going to, oh, I forgot how bad that looks in VR. I don't think it's going to be something that should be an issue, though. Let's see, in flight. So let's judge this thing. The Miltech Simulator Blackhawk comes in a couple of different variations. MH60, I think they have a Mike and a Tango, maybe, or a Tango Romeo. Configure. Yeah, they have the Romeo with a handful of different liveries in it. A lot more defensive things on the outside for combat flying. The Tango's more set up for Coast Guard sort of things, fuel on it, and the Sierra kind of attacky, but also that I think it's the same model that they do the Marine One in. Anyways, solid setup. Save them back. We can control print screen this bad boy. I'll go over to paint. Control V. File crop. File save as JPEG UH60. I'm going to give you guys over to here. I'm going to pop in there, add images later, UH60. I'm not putting it in A tier, I'm sizing it. Honestly, S tier, I think. I don't see why it wouldn't be S tier. Or are you not? Maybe above Huey. Just that way I can scoot you over here a little bit. Dude, it's so many different variants, so many different liveries in each one. Every system that you could use in Microsoft Flight Simulator realistically is functional. Sounds, performance, it's all there. S tier, that's for sure. Cool, let's see. Turn on Microsoft Flight Sim for you guys again. 10:41, been doing this for 2 hours. I think maybe 2 more helicopters and we'll just make it like a little micro series out of this of trying everything. Let's see. Let's Let's get pissed off. Let's be angry at something. 407. We're going to be angry for a second and rant. So this is the Bell 407. Bell 407 is like an old school original. This was in Microsoft Flight Simulator back when Microsoft Flight Simulator first became a thing. It's like an OG of the game itself from all the versions. And in 2020, it felt kind of soft to me. It felt very arcadey. And then now, in 2024, it was a little bit better. But now it sucks. This used to be, Nemeth Designs, which was solid. But now they went with like an InBuilds company or something. It has these horrible screw textures on everything. Like, neat that it's 3D behind that. Cool, whatever. But the whole helicopter looks just horrible. The Nemeth one was at least solid. So I can do Shift-C. We can hop in. I'm going to show you another reason why this one sucks, okay? So we can do battery on. We can do the anti-collision lights on. Fuel on. Nothing else here needs to be touched. Let's see, it doesn't show it there. Engine start is here. I also have a button for it, but I'll use their starter. We'll see if it works now. It's going to spin up. Usually at 15 or so you start turning this up, so I'll turn it up in my hand here. It's going to get to 40-ish% or so. Blades are kind of turning. Is it going to take? Do they fix it? It's making the same startup sound over and over and over again. 41.3. Fuel valve there is open. More throttle. Will that give you anything? Torque's not showing anything. Fuel level's fine. Transmission pressure, engine oil, all that's there. Temperature's fine. The helicopter will not start. It will not start. It used to be able to start. Well, when the first game first came out, it wouldn't start. Now it started, and now it won't start again. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to end flight. We're going to start in the air so I can at least fly it, because I haven't flown this since they broke it. So the Nemeth one wasn't bad, okay? The Nemeth one was not bad. Actually, I'm going to set departure as a... Or maybe it'll start running for us. So the Nemeth design ones, even though it wasn't perfect, still felt arcadey to me. It wasn't bad, okay? And now this is my first time flying this InBuilds. I think that's what somebody said. I don't want to talk shit against a company I don't know. Gonna go off. Cyclic centering. Okay, weird. So I don't want to talk shit because I don't know who builds this. Whatever, like textures. Kind of okay. You can see scratches in the lenses. That's cool. It's not bad. The outside looks horrible though. Get off the ground. Cyclic centering should go away. Make sure this is up too. I don't want it to be at... Why is my throttle at 40%? That's weird. rotor RPM and everything's saying that it's good. Okay, cool. We'll play with it. So that's one thing that's annoying. So the throttle doesn't work there. Those lights won't go off despite me having the boost and transfer and everything set up right. What a weird turn. What? Do they put training wheels on this fucking thing? There's no pamphlet to change anything, and I have 0 assist on. Just why is it hesitating on my turns like that? And like I said, this is my first time flying since they messed it up even more than it already was. Let's see if I can find redeeming features. Does it sound good? Yeah, it kind of sounds like a 407, a bit. Pickup, how's the pickup feel? Is it leveling pickup or is it actual? So what I'm doing here, I'm micro adjusting the collective, seeing if it floats ground effect, which it does feel like it's doing. So let's see if this changed. I'm curious if they did something with this, because usually when you lower the collective, there should be no more dust coming out, but it's still dusting heavily. So that's annoying. Can I over torque it? Yeah, this is an unrealistic climb rate. That's stupid. Like I said, the throttle thing's still weird to me. What's it saying the throttle's at now? 100%? Strange. Will I be able to auto-rotate this thing? I think I'll probably just have to shut off the engine to auto-rotate it. Let's do the rest of our testing first real quick. Can I overspeed? It sounds overspeeding-ish. Okay, cool. Let's see what the skids feel like on a hill. Dude, the turning is so weird. Honestly, this is probably my favorite hill landing that it's done yet for any of the other helicopters. The skid sticks pretty well. Yeah, so it does do something decent. It does slope landings pretty well. The turning is so weird though, because it's see how it just stops and locks into a direction. There's no like, I'm adding pedal, and it stops. And like usually when you start adding pedal, it will start turning. So watch my pedals down here. I'm adding them. There you go, it's turning. I let off a little bit and it stops. I'm not even yet. Like there's so much dead zone on the pedals. That I do not like that at all. That is horrible. So yeah, let's pull torque that doesn't exist in this thing. Let's do an auto rotation. I don't know if this will be able to turn back on again, so we'll have to actually cut the engine off by pulling fuel. Let's see what outside sounds like. Ew. Nope, it sounds horrible. It might be okay inside, but it's... Even then, I wouldn't say it's good inside. It's just okay. No, actually, since we're here, pulling as much power as we can, at only 60% torque somehow. Some sort of speed we can get. Without gaining altitude. Only 110 knots, so it's slow too. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Microsoft, your fucking helicopter sucks. Okay, where's the airfield? Back over here. We're at a decent altitude. We might gain another 200-300 feet or so I can troubleshoot having to turn the engine off. Speedway traffic helicopter piece of shit on a 1.5 mile final runway 24 power off auto rotation. It will slow it down to like 80 knots or so. We'll wait till we get up here. No need to make ourselves spend any more time in this thing than we have to. It sucks because I really like 407s. I really do. They're classic looking. They're 4 blades, so you don't have to worry about any mass bumping anything here or there or whatever. They're just good. So we should be in auto rotation here. Yep, that's not affecting torque any. Really slow forward. I'm going to add some forward airspeed to it. That's partially just because I was looking around at stuff. Doesn't really gain me any RPM back, which is weird. Why am I able to hover? There you go. Yeah, this blades have way too much inertia in them. And when they decayed, they wouldn't build back up, which you I even put a flare in there that should have oversped it. So yeah, I've had enough of this one. Love the 407, which sucks. It sucks. Oh. Let's see. Control print screen. Go over to paint. Control V. Crop it. File, save as, JPEG. 407. Gonna put you guys over on the list. Heh. I want to get over here to the list. 407. Open. Icky. Let's get its size the same as everything else real quick. And F. I'm not even going to talk about it. I'm so depressed with this stupid thing. F tier. 100%. Why'd you get smaller? There you go. Yeah, F tier by far the worst one yet. Even though I don't care for the 47. It's way too wiggly. The inertia's off in the system. The inertia in the rotor system's fine when you're moving. It's not that bad. It's just like under hover and stuff. It's got an extremely sensitive cyclic. Yeah, 407 just bad all around. Cool. I'm gonna stop talking about that. Let's go to something that isn't bad. Let's get back in VR. We'll make this one the last one for tonight. Let's see. We've done Cow and Sim. What do we do Cow and Sim? Did their 22. Done Fly Inside on a 47. We done Taug's Hangar on the Huey. We've done Microsoft on the 125 and the 407. So we've kind of touched everybody. Oh, we didn't touch them. Hype Performance Group, HPG. Let's do the 145. I'm a fan of the 145. It sucks that it's not. What happened to all that? There used to be a little check mark there. Configure. So they do have a couple of different configurations for this, which is sick. So this is just under variant right here. So luxury, civil, ADAC variant, military, petroleum, military, civilian, cargo, CAL FIRE. And then on top of that, let's just go ADAC here. We go livery. We have all these different ones. So cool. I'm kind of partial to this one. I love this high-vis color, but I really like the German Search and Rescue. So we'll do that. And we'll call this one the last one for the night as well. I thought this was going to go quicker, but apparently I like to talk. Set as departure. Daytime. We'll do weight and stuff once we're in there. Wish this was a D3, which would be a 5-blade. This is a D2, 4-blade. Oh well, you know. There we go. Loads in finally. Get rid of all that stuff out there. Okay, cool. Into this. No pre-flight procedure. Although there would be a lot of stuff to do. Good looking helicopter. Really, really good. This was an expensive helicopter too. This is like $40. Plus their mission set, if you want to get that too, is like another $30 or something like that. Very pricey. But you get a lot for it, and that has something going for it, you know. I will say it sucks here recently because I've learned that whoever one of their main programmers was for Hype left the company and took some IP or their IP with them, or his IP, something. I don't know the full story. I'm not going to act like I'm an expert. But there's like no way that they're going to be able to update these continuously in the future for certain things. So that kind of blows. Interior looks good. You see finger smudges on the screen. Everybody in the back looks good. You have a really, really detailed kit and everything back here. Getting a vibration there, so I'm curious what. Oh, the back doors. Huh. Might have to get out to close those. That sucks. Oh, stretcher. Get in there. Crap. I don't know how to do that. I've never done that before. We'll just restart. So yeah, kind of sucks for Hype. I really, really like the helicopter. 145, super cool helicopter. Anyways, you know, it's like the unit of a technically civilian helicopter, even though they use it to train army pilots and stuff. Having a hard time loading right now for some reason. Okay, cool. We're in. Shift C puts us in the helicopter. Got the seat. The seat puts me in a good spot right away, so that's good. Also cool on this whole start procedure, you kind of work down it, so it's a little less complicated. Battery can go on. That gets everything going through its testing and stuff. The sounds are really, really good in this too. All the cockpit sounds. Standby battery, avionics, we'll go ahead and turn those on now. LVACs can go to pilot. Don't need to worry about pitot-static here. We can turn prime and transfer. Strobe light can go on there. Blah, blah, blah. We're good. We're going to turn that one up into the start position. Engine number 1. And you can see we have good controls here with the with how the main rotors react to being used, so good modeling from that. We also have the iPad from them. This is not the in-game EFB. This is completely different, and I like this one way better. Okay, that one is at idle now, so let's pop that one up one. Go and turn those to there. That's in start mode. I'm going to turn auto trim off. I don't like auto trim. I like flying. Personal thing, but you know, whatever. Okay, both engines are at idle. Move both up. Put their guards on. Over here we can turn pitot-static on. Turn the audio into normal there. Do position anti-collision lights. Might as well. That's really it. Flying this one, there are a lot of trims. There's a lot of stuff like that you, I won't say you have to worry about, but that do exist and you do need to know about. That can make your flying experience less good. We can turn prime pumps off now. Bust high. So usually once you take off, that fixes itself. So yeah, we'll have the warning on there for the autopilot trim, but that's just, it's a me thing. It's not a them thing. It's a me thing with the controls that I like to use thing. Yeah, it takes off, it feels good, has the very, very good multifunction displays that are fully usable as well as the Garmin's that are in here. So all these completely usable. You can go through nav, all your information there, maps. They have a camera system here as well. Different configurations, reports of things that can happen, VADEC reports. It's very cool. I like the hoisting when you're doing their own missions. Yeah, it's a super solid setup. And with their missions and everything, the maps actually work. The ones that are here in the game kind of suck. You can do layers for it, so you can do satellite topography, vectoring, turn off and on a whole bunch more stuff easily. You have a home button. You have multiple apps. Failures and maintenance, so you can have different things happen as you're flying, which is great. That's one thing that happened during the 2020, which was fantastic. Also up here, for me, this has always been nice because I don't have a self-centering cyclic. So if I want to use autopilot on something, usually if you grab your controls, it overrides it. So if I do autopilot and I set it, I still need to keep my controls pretty well still and centered, because if I move it like here, it's going to turn the autopilot off and into the ground we go. But I had the ability to change all of that. I think it's in settings actually. Yeah, so settings here, cyclic trim system, software, gameplay mode, air traffic vortex ring state. You can turn that on, which is super cool. Feet detection, dead zone, so you can have that there or ignore it, which is great for the autopilot things, because if you have a system like me where you can't just take your hands off and walk away and it sits there, it makes it where you can use autopilots. Let's see if we can get in vortex ring state. I've never really tried this helicopter, I don't think. Let's get somewhere where I can see. Have a good visual point of reference as far as we're not moving. Gonna keep that airplane kind of there next to the tablet. Yeah. It was something I actually had to, I don't want to say fight, but I actually had to correct. Which is a very untraditional correction, but we're going to do it again just because it's fun. Lower the collective, so we're in vortex there. See? Have to get out of the vortex and over torque there. So technically on this one, I would need to right pedal. Actually, even though this one, this one should be right pedal heavy because it's a Eurocopter or Airbus. But it looks like it's spinning the wrong way. Let me straighten up pedals and just yank collective real quick. Okay, yeah, so right pedal is power pedal. Or no, that'd be left pedal power pedal. That's weird. I don't know if that's normal. But yeah, so there's two ways out of vortex ring state. You can either push forward and get forward airspeed, or you can do what's called the Vachard method of kind of like sidestepping out. So that'd be left pedal, right cyclic. So I get into it again here. And it steps me out of my own voice. Oh, nope, we're still in it. Whoop. Yeah, so this one does vortex ring state, so that's sick. It over torques, you can damage it. It's honestly a really, really well set up helicopter. The missions on it, they work great. As compared to the factory missions that come in Microsoft Flight Simulator, which kind of suck, depressingly. The ones that come factory in the game, like there's no help from the hoister or anything. This one, it gives you like a screen on there so you can see, like, because they're not programming the people to tell you like, hey, go forward, go up, go down. But on here, like the screen on your tablet there, their tablet, not the game tablet, will actually inform you of things that you're doing and like where you need to go. Okay, ooh, it even gives us a warning about vortex ring state. That's cool. So yeah, we can push forward and get out of it. I didn't know it gave us a vortex ring state warning. That's neat. I know the H-160 will be like, vortex, vortex. So to be in vortex, you need to be less than effective translational lift. You need to be descending faster than 300 feet per minute, and you have to have some sort of power applied. Strange. I feel like the rotation on this system's off. We'll restart. It's such a good helicopter, but I feel like the fact that whoever was in there that's leaving with their IP and updates are going to be a bitch. Like, it would be an S tier. It would 100% be an S tier. But that really, really sucks. It really does. And the autopilot actually works in these, which is great. So we'll actually just shut down, because this one actually, you can shut it down. A decent shutdown procedure. Cooldown periods don't matter, I don't care. Blades are going the damn wrong way. Unless that's just a thing with 145s that I've never known. I've always just figured Eurocopter went right, but this has the static wick on the backside. That's wild. Okay, I'll have to fact check that one later. I was always under a different impression. Weird. How come nobody told me that? Yeah, those are straight going counterclockwise. What? Okay, cool. Solid helicopter, really like them. Could be S tier. Could be S tier, but I think there's a couple little things that are kind of killing it for me. So I'm going to hop out of VR real quick. Going to put you guys, or I'm going to screenshot this first while we're here. Control print screen, paint. Save as JPEG H145. Save. Put you guys over on the internet screen, which is here. I'm going to go to the internet screen. Layer, add images layer. H145. So this could be S tier. It has all the right things. It does the right things, you know, good sounds. And actually, that I'm here. Let me just see. H145 D2. I'm gonna look at a picture of this thing on the ground. Dang, I guess they do go left. Huh. Wild. Okay, cool. That's news to me. I always figured they went right because it was a Euro rotor thing. But it's a one of those things where it's like in Robinsons when you first learn to fly, they're like, hey, when you take off, you need to have left pedal. When you do the collective, or when you do an auto rotation, you have to put down right pedal, then after, and they're trying to tell you the left and the right, but like fly the helicopter. If it's yawing left and you want to go straight, put right pedal in. If it's yawing right, you want to go straight, put left pedal in. You know. Anyways, would be S tier. It would be S tier if the people were sticking around, but they're not. So A tier is where I want to put it. Got a lot of good systems. It works for me for doing autopilot, which is cool, although I enjoy flying the helicopters. But it's expensive, and there's not going to be support for it. I'm going to leave it in A tier for now. I can't think of a reason to take it out of there unless there's just so much stuff filling up here that makes this feel dumb, because there's going to be no good support going forward for it. But yeah, what we're going to do, we're going to call that a night for tonight, though. Been doing this for a while. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Good working it out, good working it through, and we'll build on this next time. So, adios, peace, see ya.